Welcome to week 4 of Think and Grow Rich. In Think and Grow Rich, there are chapters on action and decision. And Christi wants to take a deep dive into these subjects, so we're spending a month on each one. This is our first week of Crystallize Your Desire through Action.
Okay, hello, and here we are. We are doing a month on crystallizing your desire through action, and so we're going to really get down and get dirty. Just really to kick it into high gear, what it takes to create the life we desire. And sometimes we want that magic wand to be waved, and things often appear to happen that way, but really what's happening is we are working with the invisible powers and laws, and we're understanding those. And part of that, completing that whole circuit, is action. And without action, we break the circuit and we don't have a complete flow of, just use the image of electricity in creating the life we desire, the life we choose to live. And so right now we're going to start where we start every class, and that is by setting the tone in whatever form you keep your gratitudes and proud of. That's one of the things I encourage as a daily practice, is to start with your gratitudes and proud of. What we're doing right now in the conscious cosmos here is that we're like creating this web. So we have people in San Diego and people in Texas and people out in Loomis, California, and here in Santa Rosa. And so we're weaving this net of receptivity, a vibrational frequency. For me, I can so envision this work through understanding of vibrational frequency. And so we are creating a vibrational frequency that is open and receptive to gleaning everything that we need to glean from this work, and setting in motion everything that we are speaking in this moment. So I'm going to start with a gratitude today. As I mentioned, is my mom's birthday. My mom has stage 4 cancer, and I am just celebrating and grateful for her birthday today, and that she has lived yet another year and is doing amazing things with her healing process and her healing journey. So I'm grateful to have celebrated. I took her out to lunch today and to have her here in my life. And then I'm proud of orchestrating a secret surprise for her on Sunday, of a Sunday brunch before my sister went back home to San Diego, that she had no idea what was happening. So it was the start of her birthday week. So I'm really proud of orchestrating that and just really making her day, her week. So just take a moment right now. I'm going to be silent and think of your own gratitudes and proud of, and if you are able, write them down. So as I mentioned, one of the faculties that we have to work with is our intuition. And I have been working at developing my intuition for a very long time, but especially fine-tuning it and honing it these last couple of years. And so I really trust my intuition. And I actually use the 5-question test that we use to test our dream to even check out something around my intuition. Does it give me more life? Does it align with my core values? Does it make me grow? Does it require help from a higher power? Does it have good in it for others? And I use this to test so many things if I'm headed in the right direction. And often we ask, how do we know if our intuition is really our intuition? And I think that 5-point test is a really great tool for that. And so my intuition said we need to get down to some real brass tacks and get to some action steps here. And step 6 in Think and Grow Rich is supposed to be one of the most valuable chapters around action. Bob Proctor, who's Mary Morrissey's mentor and friend, really recommends this. In fact, he tells a story about his wife and a couple of women were going to start a project, and he said, well, meet and read chapter 6 every day. And so they met and read chapter 6 every day for 1 month. And at the end of 1 month, they said, okay, we did that. And he said, well, did you follow the steps in the chapter? He said, oh, we're supposed to do that too. This stuff does not happen by magic. I'm not trying to burst anybody's bubble. but it does feel like magic when we understand the invisible principles and laws that are in existence that pull us in the direction of our dream and our desire. I find it a very hard book to read. And that's also why I want to go through it. And I've been studying this chapter now for quite a while and taking a deeper dive in it in my own life, and so want to share this with you. And in the midst of that, take this deeper dive with you. But you can check out the book from the library, or you can purchase it for yourself. There is good material in here. It has some archaic language. It's very business-oriented, and that's one of the things that we're going to do here is we're going to kind of translate the language into whatever it is that we are working on. If you have it, you are welcome to do just what Bob Proctor told his wife and peeps to do, to read chapter 6 every day. And what I did send you was the workbook. And so we're going to work in a various way of the workbook. It just pulls out some of the things that I think make it a little bit more accessible, and we're going to apply some of these things. However, the first step, which is desire, this is actually just another version of helping develop a vision, like we do our 3 to 5 year vision. So you can look at chapter 1. This is kind of based on chapter 1, and it's also based on you having your vision. So if you need to refine your vision this week so that you can have this as your foundation, do that. And if you want to send it to me, you're welcome to send it to me. But one of the things that I actually love about his way of creating the vision is this is intention to give. And he really stresses this as one of the points that he makes in creating, we call it a vision. I don't even know what he calls it, right? Building your desire is what he keeps referring to. But it's basically creating a vision. And it says, determine exactly what you intended to give in return for the money that you desire. There is no reality as something for nothing. So here he's speaking to what I was speaking to earlier. There is a method. The law always works a certain way, and you really don't get something for nothing. So as you're creating your vision, I want to make $24,000 a month. And this is his question. I would like to give to or buy, or kind of looking at how am I going to give? What is it that I'm going to give? And he says down here, why do you choose that particular way to give? For example, I always wanted to work with children. See, he's not asking you to give anywhere outside of those 5 questions. Does it give me life? Does it align with my core values? Does it cause me to grow? Do I need a higher power? And is there good in it for others? Your vision will always encompass that, and therefore you will be answering this question, what will I give? And this is, I think, an important key that we want to build the foundation of this month that we're going to dive into this chapter. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is that this is about action. This month is about action. I want you to have that up in your mind all the time. What actions am I taking? What are the actions that are putting me in the direction of? And the second thing is to decide for your dream, to decide for your vision. And decide means to cut away what isn't the truth, putting you in the direction of your dream. Decide means to cut away, just like the sculpture of Michelangelo carved away, and somebody said, actually, that was the Lincoln story. How did you know he was in there? It was just like, I just carved away everything that wasn't Lincoln. And that's how it made the bust of Lincoln. But it's about deciding. Then the other thing that I want to talk about in this book, which is the details of how this is written for the businessman, or making your fortune, or making your riches. And pay attention. Do you have some rattle coming up around that? Oh, well, I don't want to get rich. Why don't you want to get rich? If you don't want to get rich, there's a paradigm behind that. Too much money make you feel guilty? Does too much money make you feel that you'd have to work too hard? So if there's a rattle around riches, why do I want to get rich? You don't have to get rich. I'm not asking you to get rich, but I'm sure asking you to take a look at your paradigm and what is the rattle around that, because you'll learn so much from that. But when he speaks of riches in here, or when he speaks about leader, we're going to get to that in a minute, we're going to do some translating. Remember in a couple of the calls I've talked about if you ever have any issues or rattle around language, maybe I might say God and you're kind of not the God kind of person, or I say quantum field and you're not the scientific kind of person. Put on that translator that allows you to hear what's really being said there so that you let that information in. And so even though this seems to be really geared towards really entrepreneurs, you may not be an entrepreneur, but we're going to translate this language into making it work for wherever you're at in creating the vision, the life that you love living. A quitter never wins and a winner never quits. For me, and I'm actually going to do a little exploration. I'm a little bit curious, but that causes a little bit of a rattle. Like I have a rattle around the quitter word. And so anytime something like that comes up, I'm going to do two things. One is I'm going to take a look at what is it about quitting. And I do have some history and some stories around having quit. And actually, as I'm speaking, remembering my mom when I was 8 years old saying, Christi, you're great at starting things, but you never finish. And that was a blessing because I started learning to finish things. So for me, I'm going to change it to something that's more resonant. But you want to have something in front of you all the time that says, if it's something that you love, it's worth perseverance. And so don't give up. Now, we can change course. That's part of this material is about changing course. And this is going to be your homework assignment. I'm really not that interested in the worksheet on page 61 that says, are you a leader or a follower? We're actually going to take the attributes of leader and look at how we can be a leader in our own life and in our own project to creating the life we love living. And your homework assignment is going to be for you to write, if you're willing, a response to all 11 of these attributes, to make a response, how you fit that or how you're going to shift or change, because you want to be a leader in your own project. So that's why we're not going to, are you a leader or a follower? We are all leaders in our own vision and creating our own dream. But these are really great attributes. So number one is unwavering courage based upon knowledge of self and one's occupation. Now, if you have any rattle around that, you need to ask yourself what's in my way so that it can come up. That can be the good news. That can come up and we can heal and take care of it. Do I feel I don't have the knowledge? Don't have the courage? What's in my way? Because these are tools for us to do our healing work. The second one is self-control, and this is will. And when we go through the 6 faculties, imagination, intuition, will, reason, this is the function of will and of deciding. Are you the kind of person that will decide for your dream? A keen sense of justice. I think that speaks for itself. And what I love about the idea of justice or integrity is what integrity is to me is telling the truth at the very deepest level within your own self. Like you can even kind of fudge a truth or a justice to someone out there in the world, but check in with yourself. Is it your deepest truth? Is it your deepest justice? And is that what you're living from? And then a definiteness of decision. Are you wavering or can you make decisions, right? How do you make decisions? And what I'm asking you to do in looking at these as questions, it's like, oh, I'm not good at decisions. What holds me back? And you can bring these things to the call and we can work on these things because this is actually a great tool for finding out what our limiting beliefs are. Definiteness of plans. Do you have a plan? Do you have a framework? Or is this all guesswork? The habit of doing more than paid for. Okay, this is a person of increase. Everything you do, are you giving more value than you're asking for in compensation? It's a very powerful tool in activating the law of reciprocity, right, of things coming back to us multiplied and overflowing. We want to be that kind of person. A person of increase, just as a reminder, is that wherever you go, the value of people's lives is increased by being in your presence. And the easiest example of that is being in the grocery store and looking someone right in the eye and really engaging with them. That's a person of increase as opposed to somebody who just give me my change. And most of you, all of you on here, when I'm in your presence, you are people of increase. So are you in the habit of doing more than is paid for? Okay, and that's a perpetual forward motion. And then a pleasing personality. Nobody wants to work with a, right? Sympathy and understanding. So this comes to compassion and also understanding people and where they're at and who you're working with and who you're working for and who you're serving. And mastery of detail. And we must, in the creation of our own vision, part of mine is creating my coaching business, and I need to pay attention to detail. And as we talked about the 4 quadrants, am I a master of this, or is this my area of incompetency? And this is part of being a detailed person. If it's your area of incompetency, then part of the detail is finding someone or a way to serve that thing that you need done in a competent way. And just like having my lovely assistant, Naga, who does my IT work for me and everything, I couldn't serve you guys as well. I wouldn't be able to access people like yourselves that are ready to work on and transform their lives. And so that's part of being a master of detail, is also knowing when you need to build your team and how to do that. Willingness to assume full responsibility. Many of you have heard Mary's story, and I'm not going to go into it now, but a lot of things happened that she wasn't aware of that caused the fall of her church in Oregon. And what did she do? She didn't blame. She took full responsibility for this, and she made her restitutions, and she took the responsibility of this. And we want to always assume full responsibility. Read these descriptions in the workbook here and really use this as the worksheet. This is what I'm interested in. And number 11 is cooperation. We were not put on this planet to do this work on our own. There is a synergy, an energy, a co-creative flow here that is the natural part of our universe. So this is a little information. This is your homework for the week. We're going to spend 4 weeks doing this, and what I want you to do in this 4 weeks is be thinking, how can I continue a mastermind? Who can I create as a mastermind to help me move forward in creating a life I love living? So this is the first part of this work that we're going to be doing, is creating a mastermind and then using the major attributes of leadership to take a look at how we doing, almost like a report card. How are we doing in each of those arenas? What's the rattle or the paradigm that's getting in my way? And if you even get to it, how can I turn that around? But if not, you can bring that to the call. Next week, we're going to look at the 10 major causes of failure in leadership, not because we want to look at leader, but we want to look at those in kind of the same way as we are doing with leadership. How can we move into busting these paradigms? And then we're going to look at our quality of service rating. And like I said, a lot of this is geared towards the business, but we're using it towards any and all aspects. But the main thing is, ask yourself every morning, what is a step I can take in the direction? Jerry and I set a new financial goal for 1 year away. And still, every morning, we are waking up and sitting down together and saying, what can you do? And I'm not asking him. He's telling me what he can do today, and I'm telling him at least one step I can do today. We've already taken steps in the direction of the financial situation we want to be in, and you want to wake up every morning and ask yourself, what is a step I can take in the direction of whatever your dream is, whatever it is that you're working on? You're welcome to send me your revised visions. This is a great time to do that. One of the pieces is continually renewing, revitalizing your vision so that it's really, really hitting the mark in the moment, because the moment's going to shift and change.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Here are 2 exclusive podcast listener offers. First, for a limited time, podcast listeners can work with Christi in person at a deep discount. Christi offers a unique coaching modality of her own creation that helps clients discover their own answers to where they're stuck and how to move forward. As one of her clients puts it, it always works. This transformative process is designed to help you identify blocks and create breakthroughs in your personal and professional life. As a thank you for listening to the podcast, you're eligible for a special discount. Normally $97 for a half-hour introductory session, podcast listeners get a $70 discount automatically applied if you use this link, masteringtheartoflife.com/podcast-IWD-offer. That's masteringtheartoflife.com/podcast-IWD-offer. And that link is in the podcast general description as well. Second, you can get the entire library of Mastering the Art of Life with PDF notes and worksheets for each lesson, plus bonuses at no cost at masteringtheartoflife.com/9-month opt-in, all one word, masteringtheartoflife.com/9-month opt-in. That link is also in the general podcast description.